In this lesson, we're going to block in the remote for our car. Alright, so to get started, I'm going to go ahead and just create a box here in the scene in my front view, and I'm going to make sure that I'm using the box creation method because I want to create kind of a rectangular type of shape. So I'm going to type in a length, width, and height here. So on my length, I'm going to type in 58. My width, I'm going to type in 88. Okay, so that's a pretty good ratio for me there. And then on my depth, I'll do something like 20. And that should get me started with my remote here. So now what I want to do is I want to add in some segments across the middle because I want to use a bend modifier to kind of create an odd shape for this remote. I don't want it to be so static and angular. So I'm going to go ahead and convert it to editable poly. And let's go to edge mode, and I'm going to select the middle set of edges, or that ring there. And let's use connect. And I'm going to add in, let's say, maybe 4 edges. I think that should be good, and then we'll hit OK. Now with this, let's go ahead and add our bend modifier. So I'm going to bend this, and let's adjust our angle, and let's do something like 20 degrees. But you'll notice that it's not in the right axis, so let's switch that to the y-axis. And this is really very close. It just needs to be turned because I want it to bend from this side to that side. So I'm going to expand the bend and use my gizmo and rotate that with my angle snap turned on, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. So I should get something kind of like that. Now once I've finished that, I'm going to convert it to editable poly because I'm finished with that bend modifier. Now I'm going to start blocking out the major shapes for my controller. So at the top, this is going to be the place where our antenna is going to stick out. So I'm going to inset this right here. And I'm going to inset that to, let's say, maybe 2. Give it a good rim there. And then I'm going to bevel it, so that way it's beveled straight up. Let's do an amount of, let's say, 6 or so. And then an amount of -1 on that outline for that bevel. I'm going to hit OK on that, and then we're going to inset one more time and then extrude in a negative direction. So that way we kind of have a hole there. So I have that piece created. Let's select the sides. And let's inset and bevel those to kind of create a little bit of a grip for these pieces. So I think 2 is going to be a good value. And then we'll bevel that. And I'm just going to use that same bevel amount there. That looks good. So with that, we've created that. Let's go ahead and go across the back because I need a panel for my batteries to go into. So I'm going to use the Swift loop, and I'm going to create an edge right here and then right down here. And this is going to leave me with these 3 polygons that I can use inset on and create a groove for my batteries, okay, for that panel. So I'm going to select this polygon, hold shift, and select the next one. And on this, I'm anticipating that I'm going to be using a smoothing method like Turbo Smooth. So I'm going to extrude this down, but I'm going to do a tiny amount. So I'm going to bring that up to maybe 0.8 or -0.8. And then I'm going to add that so it extrudes again. I'm going to do that twice. So I've extruded that, and then I'm going to hit OK, and then inset that. But we're going to take it all the way down to 0, and then just bump that up just a little bit. So let's say 0.1. And then we'll hit OK on that. And that's going to make sure that that's nice and tight in that detail there. Okay, so now we've got our back plate for our batteries to go, and now what I want to do is I want to create the seam that we'll see across the middle. So let's go to edge mode, hit 2 on the keyboard to do that, and I'm going to hit ring to select that ring all the way through the middle there. Let's use connect, and we're going to create 1 segment, and I'll hit OK on that. Let's chamfer that, and then I'm going to hit OK. And with this, I'm going to go to polygon mode, and I'm going to select all of these polygons right down the middle. Okay, so I'm going to hold down shift to select that whole loop, and I'm going to deselect the ones that go through the top here. Okay, so deselect all of those, and then I'm going to hold down Control and select all the ones that go around this piece here. Okay, so with all of those selected, let's use Inset to create a groove that separates those elements, and then I'm going to extrude those down. Now I want to extrude those on their local normal, so that way they extrude inward all the way around this object. So we'll do, let's say, 0.8, and let me actually take that amount up. Let's do -0.2, and we're going to add that, and we'll do that twice. And then with this, we're going to inset that amount, and we'll just do a tiny amount there, and we'll hit OK. So that way we don't have to come through with our Swift Loop tool after we've applied Turbo Smooth. Now with this, I'm going to come in and add my Swift Loop, or my loops where I need to control my smoothing. So this is just kind of to give you an example of how to apply Swift Loops or loops to control the overall smoothness of your object before adding Turbo Smooth. So let me go ahead and add that there on each side here, and then across the top here. That looks good. So I believe we've got all of those that we need except for right here and here, and then also on the outside edge of that. And that should give us everything that we need. Finally, what I want to do is inside of polygon mode, I want to take these polygons right here, and I'm going to extrude those straight out. So let's use extrude. Pull those straight out there, and I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to go to vertex mode, select that corner, and just push that back and up. This is going to provide a place for like the light to go onto the remote, just to kind of give it some sort of indication that the remote is on. So now that we've blocked out all the major shapes for this, let's go ahead and smooth it out using Turbo Smooth. So Turbo Smooth has been applied. Let's bump up our iterations and turn on Isoline Display. And it looks like we need one more Swift Loop right across the bottom here. So Editable Poly, Show End Result, Swift Loop, and then right there. Okay, and that should give us everything that we need. We'll do one more right here. That looks great. So here we have our remote, and it looks like I might need one right here. So just add one last one right here, and that should harden that up for our battery pack there. So here we've blocked out the shape of our remote, and in the next lesson what we're going to do is we're going to create the control knobs for our remote, and then we'll start working on some of the surface detail and really start to refine this remote altogether. So we'll get started with that next.